we're doing the sort of throwing mud against the wall, hoping it sticks as a sales and marketing philosophy, instead of actually getting a little bit smarter about that and saying, who are the people who already have a level of trust in us that we can we can extend that value from.
Hey guys, I'm loving this conversation. I thought it might make sense to talk about referrals. I've always believed that referrals are awesome because they begin with a level of trust, with somebody.
A good referral.
Yeah, actually, good referral does. There's negative referrals too, isn't there? But what are your thoughts, John, on referrals and the importance of them?
Well, let's define what a referral is first. I think that's really important. Often, if a salesperson has just been successful with somebody and turns around and said, do you know somebody else that could use this product?
Yep.
And, okay, I'll give you a couple of names. That's not a referral.
Right.
That is not a referral. In my mind, a referral is when you've spoken to somebody and you've ahead of time identified somebody that you would like to sell to that they know really well, and you have a discussion about that person or that company, and you agree that you will talk to somebody and put me in there as a person of trust.
Okay.
That's a referral.
Okay. Yep, that's strong.
Happy with that definition?
Yeah, and it's strong.
I'm not completely happy with that definition.
Tell me why.
Because I think it's too prescriptive. I think there are you could almost have a hierarchy of hot referrals, warm referrals, lukewarm, cool. But any and all of those could still be of value to you. The way I think about leads is the book Animal Farm. All animals are created equal, but some animals are more equal than others. If all leads are created equal, some leads are more equal than others. Then the top of the tree for me is there's one above referrals, and that's an existing customer of ours moves somewhere else, picks up the phone, calls us and says, hey, we'd love to have you come in and have a chat. They tend to be their nirvana. They don't happen very often, but they're lovely. But the next cab off the rank is referrals. We all know Joanne in the US who writes about this topic.
Joanne Black. Yeah.
Joanne Black, who writes about this topic and talks about this topic. And she talks about, the hit rate and how much higher it is. Yeah. Shorter cost of sale, less requirement to discounting. So there's all of this value associated with referrals. But I think it's dangerous to be too prescriptive around a definition, because then we might say, I don't want that introduction. It's not warm enough, or it's not quite far enough down the food chain.
Okay, but let me really tell you where I was coming from here. When we're looking for referrals, I think we need to look for the really good referrals, and we need to encourage people to help us find
Agreed.
them. And too often we accept the fact that, somebody, can you give me a referral? And Tony says, John wants to talk to you. Nothing else.
Yeah.
I'd much prefer Tony, and Tony's done this for me. You've referred me a few times, and it's been brilliant. I've walked in, and they expect that I'm another Tony.
Yeah. You start with trust.
I'd start with trust right on the top. And look, it was fait accompli. The business was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
That's. I know it's a nirvana, but we sometimes don't strive to achieve that, and we really should.
Let me jump in with something radical, right? So what I teach my clients to do is don't put your destiny in the hands of others giving you referrals. You target organizations, jump into LinkedIn or Sales Navigator, and have a look at common connections.
Yes.
Phone up those common connections or email them, and say, hey, Kian, how well do you know Mary Jones? Mm-hmm. And Kian might say, don't know her at all.
Don't know her at all. I'm connected to her on LinkedIn, but I've never met her, don't know her. Yeah.
But I've equally had someone say, I know him really well. I'm having a beer with him at the pub in North Sydney on Friday. Yeah. Why don't you come along? I'll introduce you. I've literally had that happen. But what I teach people to do that work with me is go and find a common connection, ask the common connection for a little bit of coaching. What's their preferred communication channel? They've got any tips for me? Yeah. Then what you do is just go ahead and run your outreach and say, Kian thought it would be a good idea for us to get together. Yeah. Now you ask Kian's permission. Kian, would you mind if I mention this conversation when I try and get a meeting? So my view with referrals is don't put your destiny in the hands of your client providing the referral. You just get on the front foot, contact the person, name drop with context. And the thing to me is the fastest path and the highest probability of getting your revenue is if you can combine a trigger event with a referral.
With a warm introduction.
Because a trigger event gives you context. And you mentioned one, someone changes role and they'll be looking for some early wins in that new role. Right, and you've got a good story about this. I know.
No, but let me ask the question. Right, we all work with lots and lots of organisations. How many of those organisations put the vast majority of their marketing budget, the vast majority of their selling effort on trying to sell to white space, blue sky, green pasture, whatever the color related analogy you want to use, rather than putting some sort of a mechanism in place that says, how are we looking for referrals? Do we have a formal process or strategy to actually get referrals, and do we know what to do with them when we get them? It's just, to me, it's a massive missed opportunity, because a lot of the time when you do that outreach to your network, they're like, oh yeah, sure, happy to help. But we just don't ask. And maybe it's because we don't understand, or we feel a bit uncomfortable, or we don't have the mechanism to do it. And as a result, all of this connectedness and value that we've built up in our network, we're not leveraging it because we just either don't know how or don't feel comfortable.
Let me tell you about a customer of mine that does this brilliantly. In fact, they've systemised the whole company. So they've got systems always looking for where the links are.
Yeah.
Right? So here's a target customer we're going for. Here are the key people in that organisation. Here's the salesperson. But here's all the other people we know, both within our organisation and amongst all of our partners and so on.
Yeah.
Who are all the people that know these people?
Yep.
And then they systematically go out and get information about how well they know them, what the relationship
Create a
is,
heat map
etc.
of
a heat map,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now, once they do all that, they're able to now put a plan together who will go through, and they might even get 2 referrals.
It's true.
Right, coming from 2 different people to another. They do it brilliantly.
Yeah.
That's I think what you're talking about in systemising it and making it part of the culture in sales. And guess what? You're right. 70% is the number that a lot of people are quoting. If you get a top, very trusted referral, you've got a 70% chance of winning the business.
Yeah, and yet the thing is, people aren't looking for it. So to me, every time you talk with a customer and they express a level of happiness with what you're doing for them, we should go, ding, there's an opportunity to ask for a referral. Hey, I'm so happy about that. Who else do you know that we could help?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because they're in the right frame of mind to ask. I work with organisations and say to their account managers, we need to follow supporters of us when they go into other organisations, when they change department, change company. Like, just go and follow those people in, because that's a trigger event that creates a risk in your account, because they're going to get replaced by someone new.
Yeah.
There's opportunity to follow them into a new organisation.
Absolutely.
Right? And trusted relationships are gold in selling, because they accelerate and they increase the probability.
So I've only ever worked with one organisation that has done that piece really, really well, where they were so clever as to understand who all of their customers are, but then track when they moved somewhere else and send them a little gift when they arrived in the new location to say, hey, congratulations on your new role, best of luck with it. Nothing overt salesy, but it's just kind of touching base, and and that's not hard to do, because everyone's on LinkedIn these days, so we can see when people are moving. But what they did was go a step further. Let's put a bit of a process around that. Yeah. Now, they were a process company, so that that's obviously how they think about these things. But there's this missed opportunity where we're doing the sort of throwing mud against the wall, hoping it sticks as a sales and marketing philosophy, instead of actually getting a little bit smarter about that and saying, who are the people who already have a level of trust in us that we can we can extend that value from. So I think it's a missed opportunity.
It's a big deep hole in a lot of organisations. They could probably generate a high proportion of their business and their pipeline if they really focused on referrals, and then less investment required in cold calling and lead generation and all that sort of stuff. Much better return on investment, and yet they don't even try, a lot of them.
And the thing about referrals is it's not always just to net new customers. It's this concept of land and expand, which we hear about so often in certainly in the technology industry. We're relatively good at the land bit and we're appalling at the expand bit, right? So how do you gain expansion into an organization? Well, one of the things you do is the people that who know their own colleagues in other areas of the business can give you a warm introduction, can walk you in, can organize the coffee meeting. You're 40% of the way through the process because they've helped you skip those early getting to know you steps and said, we work with these guys, they're great, they've done this for us. All of a sudden you're further down the track. But again, we so rarely do that in any systematized way. We just hope they'll introduce us.
So, great point there, and I think that's been a brilliant discussion. Referrals is something that most people get a great return on investment on, and they just don't have it systemised and thought through, part of the culture.
Correct.
They need to fix it.